when I meet energy startup founders during New Energy Nexus, when they realize that I'm from WhatSmart, they recognize the company. It's
Okay.
one of the OGs of the energy startup community. I left because I felt that there's too many problems at that time, and um, I felt that we're not moving that fast, and I felt like I have no help being the sole full time that works in that company. Because I'm already I used to be in the startup sector during WhatSmart time. We applied to Idea Space. We're part of of Idea Space, so I'm familiar with the startup scene and familiar with incubation. So coming into Nexus, I'm aware of what incubation is, what are the types of support being provided to startups. But this time, I'm looking at the other side.
Yeah.
Like I'm the one that
The
helping
provider.
provider the support, right? Takes a whole community to solve the energy transition problem.
Yeah.
So we also recognize that we are just doing a part of it. Like and that part is
Hey, I'm Al, and this is the Paglalayag podcast. I'm using this podcast to showcase what's going on around me in the clean tech and hardware space dito sa Filipinas. These next few episodes will introduce you to some high-powered social and technology entrepreneurs and balik scientists. While this is a business channel, I'm mostly going to keep things at a personal level and avoid talking too much about numbers. I hope you will find this cast of characters as impressive and inspiring as I do. So, tuloy tuloy lang. Let's get into it. So, welcome to Paglalayag. I'm Al, and today I'm joined by Ralph Ebora, Program Manager for Startup Development at the New Energy Nexus, and formerly of doing technical analysis for the United Nations Climate Change Coalition, and also a startup founder of WhatSmart. WhatSmart, yeah. So very much building a career around climate change and startups.
Yeah.
So very nice to have you with me today.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, and good day to your listeners. May I just correct what you said? So it's the Philippine Climate Change Commission.
Okay.
Not the UNFCCC. The
Okay.
UNFCCC is the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change.
Okay.
So the local policy making body. So I used to work with the Climate Change Commission.
Okay. Yeah, I knew about somehow I thought UNCCC was something I hadn't heard of before. I'm going to blame that on dyslexia. Somehow I read that wrong. Okay, so we'll keep going on that line, and I'll start out by asking, what made you decide to pursue a career tackling climate change?
Yeah, so I had a job at a cement company, and then I felt that I didn't have I'm not growing there. So after a year, I left and did my master's in energy engineering. So that's my way into the sustainability field, and then from the energy engineering master's class, I met some of my eventual co-founders. So we started an energy management system startup called WhatSmart. So we did that, and then after I left WhatSmart, I joined the climate change because it's very difficult for me to leave the energy climate realm, sustainability. So yeah, after startup, I went to the government, but still in that same field of sustainability.
Concrete or cement is definitely one of the big emitters.
Yes.
That's one of the big and one of the ones that's really very difficult to understand how to avoid because of it's just part of the reaction to make it in the first place.
Right. Until now, cement making is still reliant on coal. So yeah, I think it's one of the last sectors to transition to clean energy.
Well, and not just that, like the calcination to make the concrete in the first place, you're like burning limestone
Correct.
and ejecting the carbon dioxide out of the limestone to make it reactive to make the cement.
Yeah, not many people know this, but that there are two components to it: the use of coal, and then the
Calcination.
industrial process itself.
Yeah. That's a very tough industry from the climate change perspective. I mean, there are groups talking about clean concrete. I don't know much about them yet, but it's just in the last year or two there's been starting.
Yeah, I met some startups from Canada.
Oh yeah.
Like Carbon Cure, and there's another one. Like they're doing like smart cement or smart.
Yeah, it's emerging. I hope it works, because yeah, that's one of those like really tough nuts to crack.
Yeah.
Cool. And so I mean, at a personal level, like as far as you've come in your journey today, like there's a lot of different problems in the world. If you ended up finding yourself sort of like holding the purse strings on a portfolio or something, where would projects and companies that are very much about carbon intensity, like how would you weight a portfolio if you were going to be investing into solving the world's problems? Because you know what I mean.
That's a tough question, because I represent the Energy Nexus, and we support diverse entrepreneurs, and we can't really discriminate as to like the type of solutions, as long as it's under the clean space. So I don't have an answer to that, maybe, but definitely we need to put in more resources to those who are already like proven technologies, like renewable energy, and whatever that will make the transition faster. So I think transportation, electric vehicles is one of the major contributors. And other major contributors that are less known are in agriculture sector. So, and I don't think that many startups are solving problems there. So yeah, I would say do a Pareto analysis of where the emissions come from, and then like find the solutions, how to find the solutions that addresses those sectors.
So it's more like having a model of where are these emissions and these problems coming from, and then when solutions come along that look like they have nice niche application that can really move the needle on that particular point, then invest into that.
Correct. If I'm the one that is managing the resources. And,
okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
But again, as for the new Energy Nexus perspective, we need to be also mindful of the emerging technologies that are not yet supported. So like we need to encourage everyone that's working on every field in the clean energy space.
Yeah. Cool. And so with WattSmart, like that was how long were you doing that? Like how long did you pursue that?
We started WattSmart in, let me get this correct, 2014 or 2013, and then we did that, and then I left in 2017. So yeah, 4 or 5 years. I would say we're relatively successful, even though the startup closed now. We got funded by the DOST issued, and then we're one of the earliest maybe private companies who got funded by Fissured, because in the past I think they were just funding researchers and universities.
Right.
So yeah, we got funding to install our energy management system, I think for 100 units all over the Philippines. So we installed our WattSmart system in Davao and Cebu and different parts of the country. So yeah, I think it was moderately successful. And when I meet energy startup founders during New Energy Nexus, during my stint in New Energy Nexus, when they realize that I'm from WattSmart, they recognize the company as one of the OGs of the energy startup community.
Very nice. So you guys ultimately decided to wrap it up, or how did you close it out, or was it an exit or what?
No, I'm the first founder to give up on it, because I was the only full time in the 4 founders, and then after I left, no one really picked up the going full time to the company, and so I think after I left, they ran for maybe a year more, and then they decided not to continue. Yeah, I left because I felt that there's too many problems at that time, and I felt that we're not moving that fast, and I felt like I have no help being the sole full time that works in that company. So yeah, and during that time when I left, I will also encountered a lot of problems in the hardware. So the accuracy of the measurement we're getting not is not that good. So yeah, like we need to, it will set us back if we need um to fix that first. Yeah, there are so many issues with, with that smart.
Is this mainly on the current measurement?
Sorry.
Current measurement, was that the
Yeah,
challenge?
current. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a current transformer. See,
Yep.
current transformer. Then there's a microcontroller inside, reads it, and
Yeah.
then we assume a voltage, and then we compute the real time power, and then take the summation to get the energy.
Cool. So then you guys were also like sort of doing energy saving strategies based on the data, or
Yes.
suggesting sort of a consultant.
Yeah. So because we have the real time data, we can now disaggregate the energy consumption.
Yeah.
And since we are putting sensors per circuit breaker per line,
Yep.
then we can disaggregate the consumption in terms of like air conditioning, like convenience outlets, lighting. So yeah, we can determine which ones to focus on. Yeah. So those are like part of our recommendations.
Nice. So for sure, moving over to the CCC would have been a very different environment.
Of course, yeah. So the transition was like I'm the one who is calling the shots in Watsmart because I'm the chief operating officer, and then I'm a government staff, and there's a lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So it was a tough transition, but it also helped me to be more like humble and like it was a like a character development for me as well.
Right.
Yeah. So learn how to like work within a system, like moving slowly has its own virtue as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's a totally different. Like even though it's a same sector, like energy and sustainability, the structure is totally different from startup to government.
Yeah. Well, and you're more talking about like national targets, and I'm just trying to remember those years, like because Duterte was not a fan of the carbon stuff, as I remember.
Yeah. So yeah, but there's I think some of his advisors also advise him to continue developing that sector because I think they see the benefit of getting support from international development agencies.
Right.
And because the international scene is very active on climate change and there's a pressure for the Philippines to also get involved, I think that Duterte eventually got quiet about it. And even though maybe personally he doesn't believe in it, but yeah, continued to support silently, I would say.
Sure. Yeah, because I mean, it definitely things were moving as I could see it. Like, and I mean, there's always like this sort of tug of war between a country like the Philippines that's wanting to grow and sort of play catch up from an economic perspective, but then being asked to also be reducing emissions.
Yeah.
There's always that tug of war that comes up because I know in these recent years they're starting to get into carbon markets. I don't remember the number, like the UN convention where they're talking about like national carbon compared to before 2020. It was all like South Pole and groups like that were doing carbon trading. Yeah, did you have much exposure to any of that? When you were there?
No. I think until now the structure for the carbon market is still not in place in the Philippines. Like right now there are voluntary carbon markets, but not really nothing yet. I think they're still working on it on the Philippine carbon trading.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I want to say Article 11 or this United Nations Article 11.
Yeah,
It's like is sort of where they've got this alternative way of doing the markets between countries themselves rather than being like a market of private action.
Yeah, I wasn't really involved in the carbon market when I was in the Climate Change Commission. I'm more of in the inventory, which is like the first step. You need to like account first of
for the industries. And
yeah. So what I focused on during my time is first learning about how to do this carbon accounting. So we learned about the how the national greenhouse gas inventory is being computed.
Mm.
So I'm part of the team that published the 2010 national inventory. So the total emissions of the country in 2010, but this was published in 2020. So
Is
yeah,
it done like every 5 or 10 years or something, or?
it right now they're planning to publish. I think by this year they're planning to publish the 2015 emissions and then the 2017 emissions. So
Okay.
they wanted to do the emission calculation relatively more often,
Mm.
because in the past what they did was they asked like third party experts to calculate for the national inventory, national greenhouse gas inventory, and then what they decided is it's not sustainable. So what they put in systems in place so that the agencies themselves can calculate the emissions and then aggregate it at the national level. So for example, Department of Energy calculates the energy emissions, the Department of Agriculture calculates the agriculture emissions, DNR calculates the industrial sector, the waste sector, and the forestry sector. And then they aggregate. So it took a long time because the agencies, they need to be capacitated first. They need to be aware of the guidelines, and then collect data, and then have systems in place how to collect that data. So it took longer than usual to get the calculations
Right.
in place. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then now Nexus would be a whole other change in environment again.
I would say no.
No? Okay.
But when I left the Climate Change Commission, I'm already working with the Energy Nexus as a part-time staff.
Okay.
So because I used to be in the startup sector during What's Smart time. We applied to Idea Space. We're part of of Idea Space, so I'm familiar with the startup scene and familiar with incubation. So coming into Nexus, I'm aware of what incubation is, what are the types of support being provided to startups. But this time, I'm looking at the other side.
Yeah.
I'm the one that
The
helping
provider.
provider the support, right? So yeah, I would not say it's a totally different. And it was exciting because during the time we're the first. Until right now we're the first, like the first energy focused accelerator in the Philippines.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know where the industry would be without without just so and Nexus has this tagline right now, 100% clean energy for 100% of the population. So how are they sort of working towards that? How would you describe that as like in the when the rubber meets the road?
That's a tough one.
I know
There's
it's I mean 100% is a very
Right.
a very absolute number.
Right. And but notice that we didn't put a year to that.
Yeah.
And Energy Nexus doesn't really work with other aspects of the energy transition. Like for example, in the Philippines, we don't really delve into like the policies. So we recognize that this is a community building. Like it takes a whole community to solve the energy transition problem.
Yeah.
So we also recognize that we are just doing a part of it. And that part is that entrepreneurs, they have a role in this.
Yeah.
And maybe if we support these entrepreneurs and some of them become successful, then they become a part of the 100%. So it's not really saying that we're the ones who will be working on the 100% for 100%. It's like we are part of the community and building the community to help in this goal, in this mission.
Yeah, I think because you're dealing with a lot of early stage entrepreneurs and projects and companies and technologies, so it's maybe the 100% is more like everything is potentially in scope, like
Correct.
as long as it's clean energy.
Right.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So I haven't looked at your website lately, but before it was some close to 700 groups that you've run through your programs
Worldwide,
in one way
yeah.
or another.
Worldwide. In the Philippines, we have supported, I think, around 60 startups, including the current cohort.
Okay.
So the 700, I think it's already 1,000 now. as the cumulative of all chapters. We have like 11 or 12 chapters now.
You mean different countries?
Yeah, countries. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think like when you're catching people that early, like you're sort of tapping a certain idealism that the tagline of 100%
Correct.
really pulls in. Like I know when I was getting started, I was much more like on a technical level wanting to solve the problem than wanting to do business. And it took quite a bit longer before I got to the point where I sort of liked entrepreneurship in some ways, but then of course it's easy to get frustrated by. I mean, you see the greed and the inequality of the world and stuff like that. So I never wanted to be like chasing money, I guess, in that way. And so it took me a long time to really pick my spot in that way. And I think being able to give people a chance early when they still got that sort of drive is maybe important, because you can end up in like later in life pretty frustrated with things, and maybe the especially if you've got a family and stuff, it's a lot harder to hold on to that idealism and keep pushing for that when you got these other things that you also have to satisfy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the values that we have as an accelerator is like the value for the startup, the value for them of New Energy Nexus is like being like a positive, not really being affected by the negative talks about energy and climate. So we try to build a positive community, like encouraging and trying to be helpful. And then also, as I've said, when you started, and most of our startups in the early stage are also like that. They're technical and not focused really on the business side of it. And that's another value that they see from us. We can help in like helping them in the customer development, marketing, and those are the stuff that they're not really familiar in the early stages.
Yeah, and a lot of like maybe call it mainstream startup advice that's about software and stuff doesn't have the same. You wouldn't sell solar or clean energy technologies using the same techniques in a lot of cases.
Correct. That's why we also have a solar innovation program. It's for more traditional solar companies, and because the traditional accelerator for startups doesn't really apply to them because they're like a different group.
Yeah.
So we tried to have a different program for them.
Is that still open for applications?
Yeah, this one just closed. We have the opening next month.
Oh, okay, good.
Do you know a solar company?
Huh? I've referred a few people, but we would have been able to plug it here if
okay.
Case, but
no, it's already closed.
Yeah, no worries. So and if we get back into sort of your just on your own personal opinion, like the mechanisms of capitalism itself, do you think that has what it takes to solve the big global warming challenge, or to avoid the really heavy damage that's getting projected by the science?
Oh, that's a tough one. I haven't really thought about this, but I've read some books about capitalism is not the one that having a capitalist society will not solve climate change. Are you familiar with that book, like Naomi Klein's?
Yeah. I know her as a writer, but I haven't read the book.
Yeah. So I think I forgot about this because I read this maybe 8 years ago, 7 years ago. But yeah, the premise was that like capitalism, like structure in itself of capitalism is not aligned with solving global warming, climate change. I'm not sure. I haven't really talked about this that much, and I would say I haven't read about this.
Sure.
I would say I'm on the fence.
Yeah, or perhaps more aligned with somebody like Amory Levins as an engineer. like Amory Levins of Rocky Mountain Institute.
I'm not familiar.
Okay, because he wrote a book as well, and that one's Green Capitalism, which is very much of the opinion that you just have to harness the machine and solve the problem.
Yeah.
From an engineering standpoint. Yeah, cool.
How about your opinion?
I would say that I am an entrepreneur now, and
You're on this.
yeah, I mean, I definitely this is the way I'm handling myself and wanting to solve the problem. Yeah, I don't like, without getting too much into the politics or the philosophy of it. Like, I think that like, as an adventure and a journey to go on is the way that I want to live my life. Like, what if you're going to try and put an alternative in there? Like what Naomi Klein would suggest would probably be something which involves a lot more government.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And usually the people that are the problem solvers are in the private sector.
Right.
So I guess I'd try and answer it that way.
Yeah, I would say I'm also leaning that way. That entrepreneurs are important and they will solve and they're one of the groups that will solve the energy problem.
Yeah, and I guess because I was in engineering but then got into science, so then the science tends to be always suckling at the institutions from the government and stuff. So I can only go so far with that because science is always asking for money.
I also forgot the Naomi Klein's arguments. For some reason, it didn't stick with me, but I remember the concept of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think you've heard a couple of the episodes now, so you've heard the quotes. So I'm going to throw a couple quotes at you, and this time, I think you and I are coming from a similar generation. We're both millennials. We're gonna go two that are a little bit disagreeing with us. One from the younger generation, one from an older.
Okay.
And both from Scandinavia.
Okay.
So we'll start with Greta Thunberg. And she says that we live in a strange world where we think we can buy or build our way out of a crisis that has been created by buying and building things. And then we'll see if you recognize this name, Bjorn Lomborg.
No.
The skeptical environmentalist. Mm-hmm. He's a Gen Xer. And he says that just because there's a problem doesn't mean that we have to solve it if the cure is more expensive than the original ailment.
Say that again.
I'll give it to you to look at. He's basically saying that the cost of the medicine is more expensive than the problem in the first place.
Interesting. So is he saying that we should not solve it, the climate problem?
He tends to take an economics approach. The first book that I learned about him from was called The Skeptical Environmentalist, where he attempted to basically rebut climate change.
Oh.
But I think the arguments that came through for him strongest were the economic arguments, and he has since been much more about challenging the notion that we should be doing this, especially in places like Africa, where people are trying to industrialize. And I mean, there's people will point to like environmental consciousness in the first place starts to arise at a certain sort of income level, like after you've already kind of taken care of certain basic issues. And they have been also pointing at studies, I don't know how robust and credible they are, but talking about how health impacts and outcomes from energy consumption in the first place. Aside from the global warming impact that it creates, like the people will be much more destructive to the environment when they're living at that lower level of economic subsistence, I guess. And basically he's saying you're better off helping them become more comfortable and wealthy than trying to transition them over to clean energy. Right. Is the I would say the brunt of his argument these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say that the Paris Agreement allows countries to, that's why there's a transition from the Kyoto Protocol to the Paris Agreement, because they recognize that the countries should be, like the developing countries should be only like contributing to the contribute to solving the climate change only based on their capability. Like maybe for a poor country, maybe you can only like determine what can you do because you have other priorities, like what you said. Like other priorities are industrial like development, taking care of health and maybe infrastructure. So you have other priorities, so therefore for developing countries you should only contribute what you can. Yeah, that's the term. Contribute what you can. That's why Paris Agreement have a structure of nationally determined contribution. You can only like contribute what you can. If you're a developing country, less is expected of you. If you're a developed country, more is expected of you. And if you are a developing country, then you can also have contributions that are, I forgot the term, contributions that are dependent on support. Like if developed countries support you, like give you financing, give you technology, then you can help in the climate change problem or reduce your emission. So yeah, I would say it's not far from the argument because yeah, that means developing countries can prioritize their development first and not really like abandon climate change, but also solve it, but with less resources, only the appropriate amounts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if the technology comes along that's just objectively better and is lower carbon, then people are going to use it. And in many parts of the world, solar's already hit that point.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting it out and letting that niche expand and the cost and follow the cost curve down. Batteries are on that trajectory as well. And then batteries, because they have so many more metals in them, have their own issues of sustainability that will become increasingly relevant as more of them end up in circulation. So in some ways that's creating a different problem, but from the climate perspective, the technology is getting better and better. So it's becoming less of a point of contention of whether it should happen or not.
Correct.
Just because it's objectively better in many more cases. So. Cool. So I think, do you have anything that Nexus has got going on coming up that listeners might be interested in?
Yeah, so we have so just for context, we developed like a new energy innovation report. New energy innovation ecosystem report. So we had our first report back in 2020, and then we updated that this year, and we will launch it this August 6th.
Oh, cool.
So it's in the same event as the demo day of our Startup Acceleration Program Cohort 5. This is an important event for us because we would like to share the result of the report to the energy innovation ecosystem community. So if you're interested, this is a closed door event. But if you're interested to join the event, you can email me, ralph.ebora@newenergynexus.com.
Cool. And when is the next cohort going to be taking applications?
Yeah, so the next cohort will be most likely, the call for application will be most likely around February or January.
Okay.
First quarter for sure. After this ecosystem launch, innovation ecosystem report launch, we will have a solar innovation program I mentioned earlier. It runs from August to September. And then towards the end of the year, we have our hackathon. So we have a yearly hackathon. The details of the hackathon are not finalized yet. We are still talking to the Department of Information Communications Technology. So we have a meeting next week to hopefully firm up that. And we're very excited to partner with the ICT for this year's hackathon.
Cool. Great. Well, that's it for us. So tulay tulalang, keep it going, and I think y'all should keep an eye on what New Energy Nexus is doing if you're into the clean tech and energy space, because these guys are making lots happening around here. So thanks very much for joining me. We'll sign off from here.
Thank you. Bye bye.